So this is the factory carb, Kihin carb, Japanese. Just gonna take everything out of it so it could go in the parts cleaner, and then I have carb kit for it, and I have factory floats. The original floats had a hole. You can hear the fuel inside of it. This jet that I took out first, I think I haven't rebuilt any carbs before, so it's the first time. It's right there. This thing, not really sure. I don't think I get any one of these. This. So I gotta take that jet out of there. It has the key and K on there, and it says 105. These are aftermarket. This one says 110. Like I said, I've never rebuilt a carb before, so don't know what those are, or if they come out. Doesn't look like they come out. It says remove all rubber parts, so I may need to remove this choke lever. It's got that rubber piece right there. We have another gasket right there, which is in the package. This is the exhaust side of the carburetor, and it has this little rubber O-ring there, and I don't have a new one of those. I think that's the idle screw. There's a little spring in there. There's a new spring also, and there's a new screw right there. A27202. It's in the middle groove currently. This new needle says D19. That's it, D19. So in there we got the E-clip and 2 springs. I think I've pulled everything out. I just don't know what this O-ring goes to. All right, for the small parts, I got a pill bottle with degreaser. So we'll just throw all those in there. Degreaser, probably fine on plastic. Let's try that. People are saying they're using gasoline, so I figured I'd try that, but it seems kind of odd if you're gonna heat the ultrasonic cleaner, because then you have a sealed container of gasoline that you're heating. So then, isn't it going to expand? So, I don't know, but I'm gonna do it anyways. This container that I'm using is HDPE, which gasoline containers are also made of HDPE, so should be all right there. Since I'm not sure if this is going to explode, I moved the whole thing outside. It's warm. I guess I could run it with the lid off. I don't see why not. Well, if I'm running it with the lid off, then why do I need the lid on the gasoline container? So that way we don't have a problem with the fuel fumes expanding and blowing that container. So how do we do this then? Oh, I guess we can do 1 hour max. What, 30-minute max? Okay, I guess. We're already at 60, might as well stay there. All right, oil change. Looks like it had a decent amount of oil in there, that's good. And it's not black. Screen on a spring. You know, that oil is really gray, like, hate to say it, but like metal. It's so small, but I don't know if you can see any of them, but I think that I see some metal fragments. Aluminum, super tiny. I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick it up, but nothing I can do about that. Just change oil, really, see what happens. Definitely could be from overheating. And then here's that cap. there's a lot of junk in there. It looks like that color, the gray is like when you sand down aluminum, that's what you get. So that probably doesn't mean good thing. Whoa. Yeah, there's a lot of metal in there. So I don't know if this engine's gonna last, but we'll do the oil change, see how long she lives. Definitely shavings in there. Look at that chunk of aluminum. Yeah, I don't know about this engine. Because we got so much junk out of there, I'm just gonna pour a little oil through it, see if we can clean out anything else. And then I'm gonna fill it up with just some random oil just to run it. And then we'll do it again. You can just see it coming out. Look at all the metal. It's probably not good. All right, it ran long enough to get the oil through it. There's a lot of junk coming out of there, huh? I mean, I guess it runs until it doesn't. All right, it's been over here for a couple hours. Pretty clean, but it was pretty clean before also. Ow, it's warm. I would say everything is super clean. Just gonna blow it all out with air. We should be good. Probably don't even need the rebuild kit. All right, so the oil change is done. Carburetor's out of the cleaner. It's just sitting here. Already sprayed it out and it's doing its final dry. I don't really want to mess with that anymore. So I'm gonna put on my roll chart holder. This is for enduro racing. I would love to do an enduro race on this bike, so I'm kind of setting it up so that I can. Now with the engine like this, I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'm just gonna finish it out anyways. So like on an enduro, you have to be at a specific place at a specific time. So if I remember correctly, I mean, I haven't done this in like 5-6 years probably, but this is your mile. So at 27.8 miles, you should be 29 minutes in. And I think the 21 is the average miles per hour for that section. Can't really remember, but it'll tell you like there's gas at mile 29.04. Then you can reset your mileage at a certain point so that you get back on track if your count is off. Or throughout the race though, you gotta watch where your mileage is at. So I'm just gonna stick this up on the bars, probably there-ish. And then also try to do the enduro computer, which is just for a bicycle, but they're not that expensive. That thing's like 40 bucks. So I'll see if I can get this one going. I mean, I would prefer to have this as close to my thumb over here as possible, but with the clutch lever here, it's not gonna happen. I could take the mirror thing off, but it's not gonna make a difference, so I'm just gonna have to put it here. All right, factory carb back on. Let's see if it'll run now. I don't really know where the idle and there's the idle screw here. I don't even know what this screw is called, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a turn and a half out. So to begin with, so that's where I put it. All right, it's a few months later. I've lost a little bit of weight. It's summer now. This motorcycle is probably about as done as it's gonna get here. Haven't worked on it in a few months, but I was finishing up the video, so I figured I need to show where it's at. Basically, we got the roll char holder on, we got the enduro computer on. That's made for bicycles, but it seems to fit these handlebars just fine. It does show mile an hour, it shows a odometer, and so the wire just comes down, follows the stock speedometer cable. It's a little short here, but I think it'll be just fine. And then zip tied onto the fork leg. Right there is the sensor, and then the magnet is here on the spoke. In the directions, it says that it needs to be, I can't remember the distance from the spoke, but this is like double the distance that the directions say that the magnet needs to be. But it seems like it's working fine at that distance. I mean, on a bicycle, you have much less room to work with, so that kind of makes sense. I don't know what'll happen if it's too far away, but I haven't ridden it very much. The exhaust seems to be working well. As I was editing, I was listening to the differences in the video, and it sounded definitely quieter, so I'm happy with that. I just couldn't really tell when I was listening to it without hearing it how it was before. The barbecue paint seems to be holding up all right. It just goes flat where it gets hot. Still is shiny back here. Looks all right here. It does have like a slight brown or purplish tint to it in the sun, but you can't even tell. I like how it looks with the gold metric fasteners. That little piece of frame needs to be painted though. The carb seems to be working a little bit better. I'll start it here in a minute. Haven't started it in a few months, so if the battery's dead though, it might be kind of hard to start. Basically, at this point, probably not going to mess with it too much more. I got a couple of issues. One is with the title of the bike. We got it for free, and apparently the guy we got it from bought it at a yard sale with no title and for cash. So we bought it for cash. The guy before us bought it for cash. This is like 10 years back now, and he bought it at a yard sale, and he doesn't know where he bought it or who he bought it from. And the guy that he bought it from apparently still has the title in his name in California. And I don't want to put the work in to track the guy down right now. So it's kind of just sitting here, no title. And then the other issue is the engine. If the engine was in good shape, then I probably would be willing to do the work to track whoever has the title down. But I showed you guys all the metal that came out of it. I do kind of have another option. I can show you inside the shop. So all the way back in the back here, there's this engine. It's a Honda 125 electric start. I believe it's from an NX 125, I think early 90s. I'm not 100% sure. The back bottom engine mount here is busted out. So that's probably why they took it out of the motorcycle. My dad's had this sitting here for years, but all the engine mounts are actually the same as the SL100 from 1970. So 20 years later, 125cc instead of 100cc. We have part of a carb, no electronics, so I'd have to build all the electronics myself. So that's a big project to get this swapped over. I could probably put this on the bench and build a little stand for it, cobble together some electronics, and see if it'll run on its own outside of the motorcycle before we like make the commitment to actually swap it. But this is a potential candidate to swap into that bike. After doing some research on these older Hondas, little SLs, it seems like they have issues with the cam bearings. So it's likely that it's the top end, the cam bearings, that are tearing themselves apart and putting metal into the rest of the engine. So I don't know if, I think that the effort to rebuild this probably isn't worth the reward, but maybe somebody else knows more than I do. I haven't torn it down. Basically, it's just going to, I think the bike is just going to sit essentially in the garage until we decide to either sell it, or maybe somebody wants to rebuild the top end or see if they can salvage the rest of it. But it's basically just going to sit in the garage now until we decide. Or maybe someday I'll get the bug to figure out that other engine, but for now, it is what it is. I got other stuff to work on. So we get to go take it for a ride. I haven't tested if the speedometer works, the enduro computer. Now, if I was actually doing enduro races, I think at this point this probably wouldn't work, which is okay. It wasn't very expensive, and I have other bicycles I could put it on, but you need a trip odometer when you are doing enduros, so you have to be able to reset the odometer. And that, if I haven't figured out if you can reset the odometer, but if you can, it's not easy. You have to like pop it off, it slides out, and then there's like reset buttons on the back. And I'm pretty sure that's, if you can reset the odometer, you have to do it through those, which is not going to happen when you're racing. Buttons are just too small, too fiddly, so that probably won't work out, but it looks cool. And if you weren't racing, it'd be great. Like, it works with the motorcycle tire size, at least this size. It's a 19-inch front rim, and if you absolutely had to, you could put it on the rear rim, although you'd have to figure out a way to extend the wire, because that's usually the back tire is a little smaller diameter. But as long as you have a tire that is a common bicycle tire size or smaller, you should be able to get it to work. But so yeah, it hasn't started in a few months, so let's see if it'll start. Wow. First kick after sitting for 3 months, it almost started, and then I had to adjust the choke, and then it started. Idling a little bit high, but it is cold. It's liking the Honda carburetor back on it after it's been cleaned. Too bad the engine is messed up. I really like the looks of it though. I think it just needs to be finished out with like some more period fenders and a headlight, and then it would be almost perfect. Let's go ride. All right, so we went 3 miles. That's another thing that won't work with enduro racing. You need tenths at least on your mileage. So yeah, probably buy something else if we were gonna race this. We did make it back, but it still wasn't running right. It still smells a little too hot. I feel like it's working too hard. Just not very healthy, clearly. But I also think the exhaust is still too loud. Maybe it can be stuffed with like steel wool or something. So probably would do that if we're gonna keep working on this, but this is how it is for now. Let me know what you think we should do with it, or if you think I'm missing something. All right, I'll load it up. I was too scared to drive it home, but I added the trailer hitch, added tie-down points into the trailer in the Chipotle parking lot. And we're gonna go home.